Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed your lunch, and I hope you're having a fantastic day 2 here at the 10th annual anniversary edition of the Innovate Finance Global Summit. Listen, I have been so impressed over the past 2 days to see the energy, the excitement, and the positivity around this sector. And I have to say, I said this last night, but if anyone challenges the fact that we here in the UK are the best place in the world for fintech, I challenge them to take a look at this room right now and at this incredible ecosystem that we have around us. So I'm so proud to be here with all of you today. And I am absolutely delighted now, we have a very exciting session ahead, absolutely delighted to welcome to the stage the Shadow Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Tulip Siddiq. This is the 2nd year that the Shadow Minister has joined us as a keynote speaker at IFGS, and we are absolutely delighted to have her with us for our 10th anniversary. As many of you know, the Shadow Minister is a vocal supporter of our industry and a passionate supporter of the role that fintech and financial innovation play in driving greater financial inclusion and wellness across the entire United Kingdom. So please join me in welcoming the Shadow Minister to the stage.
Thank you, Janine, for that very kind introduction, and thank you to everyone at Innovate Finance for asking me to speak here today to set out the Labour Party's vision for the fintech sector, one of Britain's greatest assets. And I agree with everything you've said about challenging people who don't believe that we are at the front and centre of the sector to look around the room today and look at all the people that I've been meeting since I've been in this role. And we believe this is a sector that is only going to grow in importance. Most of you in this room will know that at some point in this year, we will have a general election. And if we are fortunate enough to form the next government, Rachel Reeves and I have been clear that we need to grow the economy by looking to the industries of the future. Whether that's our world-leading universities and cultural industries, the UK's groundbreaking life sciences and green technology sectors, or our status as an international financial centre, we recognise these industries are key to Britain's future successes, and these are the best tools that we have to unleash the growth that we need for a decade of national renewal. And Britain's fintech sector, perhaps more than any, embodies our nation's strengths in the 21st century. In technological innovation, the competitiveness of our financial services sector, our entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why the UK has become one of the most important centres in the world for the fintech industry in recent years. And I believe, with the right support, its best days are yet to come. But we believe in the Labour Party that this calls not just for a change in government, but a change in mindset. An active government prepared to work in partnership with your sector to ensure that businesses are empowered to embrace new technologies. In my financial services review, which was published last year, Labour set out our roadmap for what this new active partnership would look like for our financial services sector, and for the fintech sector in particular. I set out the 6 pillars of our strategy for ensuring that the UK economy can benefit from the full potential of financial technologies. First of all, a future Labour government will act to set international standards for the use of AI in financial services. Generative AI has the potential to bring about the revolutionary improvements in the city and a key source of innovation in the fintech sector. But we're also aware, and everyone in this room will be aware, that it also brings the threat of profound disruption to labour markets and the distribution of income, wealth and opportunity between people and countries. And that's why in the Labour Party we want to launch an AI strategy which will set out our approach to ensuring clear standards for AI safety, while allowing financial services firms and the wider economy to utilise the transformational potential of the technology. Secondly, as I've laid out in my financial services review, Labour is committed to delivering the next phase of open banking to unlock the potential for increased competition in retail payments. We want to see customers given full control of their recurring payments getting rid of penalties for failed direct debits to ensure that financial inclusion and consumer empowerment is at the heart of our financial system. It's something that Keir Starmer is particularly interested in and has raised with me several times, so it will be at the heart of any decision-making that we make in number 11. Alongside this, we want to build on those early successes in open banking and embrace the potential of open finance to improve the financial well-being of the British public, whether that's by expanding the system to include data from mortgages, pensions and insurance, or utilising the potential of the technology to support household savings and investment. We're also committed to advancing ongoing work to create a UK central bank digital currency and to make the UK a global hub for securities tokenisation, unlocking billions of pounds for the British economy through increasing liquidity, access to new asset clauses and fractionalised assets. And finally, a Labour government, again, I say if we're fortunate enough to be elected, will establish a regulatory sandbox in partnership with the FCA and the PSR to tax financial products for Britain's most underserved communities. Because we know that an active state working hand in hand with an innovative private sector will be the key to tackling financial exclusion and driving growth in every part of the country. The British fintech sector contributes to inclusive and regional growth, not just through the creation and delivery of world-leading financial products, but as an employer and investor in cities and communities across the UK. That's another topic that Keir will constantly bring up with me, is how do we use the Treasury to drive growth across the country, but tackle regional inequality at the same time. So, for example, Leeds is expanding its fintech cluster through the Centre for Financial Technologies and Innovation at the University of Leeds. That's where Keir Starmer studied, which is probably why he's so interested and keeps asking me about it. Well, Cardiff and Manchester are home to leading challenger banks such as Starling and Oak North, and a growing number of small and mid-tier fintech firms have set up operations outside of London to access local talent and lower costs. I say this as a London MP. I'm aware of the fact that we generate a lot of the investment in fintech in my constituency and in my city, but we've got to make sure that the rest of the country access it as well. We believe this presents an exciting opportunity for a future Labour government. The development of fintech specialities in these regional hubs creates a network effect which can draw in more firms, and that's why a future Labour government will build on these flourishing fintech clusters to drive regional growth. Whether that's through empowering the British Business Bank to boost SME financing in every part of the country, providing greater support for international firms to set up in the regions, or by establishing Skills England to ensure that fintech firms can access the local skills that they need across the UK. We also recognise that to unleash the full potential of fintech to drive growth, we can't neglect the talents of half of the workforce. We have got to increase representation of women at all levels of the sector. In fintech, women only make up 17% of senior roles, and particularly stark is the fact that a mere 10% of board seats are held by women. This isn't just bad for women, but it's a waste of female talent because it puts the future of the British fintech industry at risk. Companies with the most diverse workforces outperform their less diverse peers by 29%. And that's why, working hand in hand with your sector to tackle this, this will be a priority for a future Labour government. We want to continue to champion the groundbreaking work of the Women in Finance Charter, which is championed in industry by Amanda Blank, to increase gender diversity through reporting on firm-level gender representation in senior management. And we will support the first-of-its-kind guidance on diversity and inclusion for the sector and address the drivers of the gender pay gap through our ongoing review led by Frances O'Grady. But if fintech is to deliver well-paid jobs for women and men and drive growth in every part of the UK, and if it's to tackle financial exclusion and empower consumers, which is what all of us in this room want, it will require a regulatory system that allows the firms to innovate. And that's what we're very conscious of, and that's why a future Labour government has committed to streamlining the regulatory burden on the fintech industry, which can obstruct competitiveness and growth, including the Financial Conduct Authority's 10,000-page regulatory handbook, which we will be working in partnership with the FCA to make it less burdensome. In government, we want to call on industry to work with the FCA. We want to identify the outdated and prescriptive rules that have been made redundant because we want to give firms more freedom to innovate and to grow. We will also, in government, set up a new regulatory innovation office to improve accountability and promote innovation in regulation across sectors. The office will promote transparency on regulatory performance, including against the new secondary objective on growth and competitiveness. And in consultation with fintech and other sectors, we will work to identify overlaps and gaps in regulatory mandates across the different regulators. We know it's difficult to navigate, and we want to make it easier for firms to innovate and grow, because that will benefit our country overall. RegTech and other compliance technology must play a bigger and better role in addressing this, and a future Labour government will work to ensure that these technologies are adopted at speed and at scale by regulators. And working in partnership with you in this room, we will tear down the barriers to growth and innovation. The fintech sector, and I hope I've made this clear, will be at the heart of our plan to deliver inclusive growth. We want to be equal partners with you. We want to look forward to a technology-driven and active Labour government. We want to work with you together to ensure that the financial services systems works for every community in every part of the country. As Janine will know, I can probably talk about this forever, but I will stop because I know you've got another session coming up, which is on Buy Now, Pay Later. It isn't in my remit today to talk about Buy Now, Pay Later, but it's regulation that we want to bring in if there is a future Labour government. So please contact my office if you want to hear more about our policies on Buy Now, Pay Later. But I'll finish on the fact that if there is a Labour government at the next election, I'm starting to think about our first 100 days in office and what we can achieve if we are a Labour government after 14 years, especially with regards to the fintech sector. I'm not able to do this on my own because we don't have a host of civil servants behind us as opposition shadow ministers. So there's a lot of expertise in this room, and if there are people who are willing to help us, please contact my office, because we need to have some ideas of how we kickstart our time in government, and we could only do that with working in partnership with you. So thank you for asking me to speak here today, and please stay in touch.